To discuss this, we are joined by public affairs commentator Gbenga Anjonuga. Gbenga, thank you for joining the news. Now, let's start with...
Thank you for having me.
Great to connect again. Now, how might the recent adjustment in electricity tariffs for Band A consumers in Nigeria affect government subsidies designated for the sector? And what analysis can you offer regarding this altercation?
For me, I want to agree with the government that we need to cancel subsidy, but I also, in the same breath, want to disagree with government. I want to agree with government because I know that once they cancel this subsidy, if they do not bring it back through the back door like they did fuel subsidy, then there will be no reason for those who are siphoning money and stealing our commonwealth through this subsidy to be able to steal those money. But I want to disagree with them because if you look at the figure that they have been posting between 2016 and 2024, you would ask yourself, if they told us that in 2016 or 2017, that the amount they were paying for electricity subsidy is less than 500 billion. And between 2017 and 2024, they are already telling us that we are now paying almost 3 trillion naira for electricity subsidy. Then they should give us the figure of the number of buildings, businesses that needed electricity between those year period. Because what I feel as a citizen, looking at the disparity between the figure in 2016 and in 2024, is that some people knowing fully well that Ogata or Gauta, which means whether they sell or they did not sell, the money will come in through subsidy. They keep increasing the figure, despite the fact that the houses that have been metered, the houses that are getting electricity have not commensurately increased. So that is why I agree with them. But rather than pushing the burden on the masses, to ask the masses to pay and remove this subsidy, the reason why I'm disagreeing with them is that why can't they do in-house cleaning? Because I can tell you for free, if they are sure of themselves, let them come to use our traditional gods and orishas to swear. I can assure you for free that the amount they are paying for subsidy is not up to the amount that they are quoting, that they are lying. You understand? But because we don't have, so people are just putting the figure because they know government will pay. And that is why I disagree with them that why pushing the government when you can clean your house to know actually between 2017 and 2024. How many new houses, how many new industries are you supplying electricity to?
I mean, Gbenga, you said quite a number of things. Gbenga, you said quite a number of things. I mean, I've known you for quite a while, so I know that you're a true African man. But let's talk about the two issues that the minister did raise during yesterday's address. He said that, number one, the sector is facing a liquidity problem, and also he talked about infrastructural deficit. And in all of that, he also talked about one issue which, of course, connects both of them is consumer pricing, that there is a price gap. And that brings me to the issue of metering, which you mentioned. Not everybody, not many of these consumers are properly metered. Hence, it affects the revenue, right? So you talked about in-house cleaning. I know that for the prepaid meter, for instance, is what you use, you pay for. So how do you think these issues can be addressed in the area of pricing and also infrastructural deficit that the minister mentioned yesterday?
I agree with the Federal Minister of Power that there is a lacuna between the facility infrastructure that the both transmission, generation, and distribution company needs to make. And that is why I applaud the former president on the bill for state to generate their electricity, transmit, and distribute that has been passed into law. I think that solves one part of the problem. So for some of us, we now need to start asking our governors in our various states that you need to find a way to allow states, local governments who can generate their electricity to come into the fray. Because the same thing that is happening to electricity sector was what happened to the telecommunication sector before that sector was deregulated, and we had the like of all these both multinational and the indigenous players who are now making the sector competitive. But my own solution is this, that in the interim, before the governors are able to do their own electricity and all the whatnot, like we have in Aba now with that electricity
gas plant
IPP system. Yes, that was in Aba. Now, before our various state governor can catch up with that, in the meantime, what I would have wanted is that let the distribution company meter all unmetered houses. Every unmetered houses. If you cannot meet up with metering all unmetered houses, then you have no moral right to increase tariff. Because at the end of the day, if you call your tariff 1,000, after all, some mobile communication company, their prices are not the same from company to company, and we will decide how much we want to use per minute or per second. And because we have this ability to monitor how much call we make, the power is with the consumer. But in the case of the electricity generation company, because more than 50% of all powered houses, companies, and systems are unmetered at the moment, then you are still giving the power to these distribution companies who can continue to pilfer and treat consumers as they like. If you give me a prepaid meter, I can, if you like, call your whatever 500 naira per kilowatt hour. I will decide I want to use power for 4 hours per day. Even if you give me 20 hours per day, I can decide out of that 20 hours per day, I only need 4 hours for my crucial need, and then I will use it and I will switch off my prepaid meter. And that way, you have no problem, I have no problem. But in the case where my house is not metered with...
Gbenga, I think we lost you there. We lost our communication with you there. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, we lost you for a moment. But before I let you go, quickly, the minister said that the monies that they were trying to save in the sector would be diverted to other key sectors that equally need funding. Now, the question of accountability, most times when we hear, subsidies taken away, the follow-up question is, how do we ensure that the monies that, used to be paid for these services are used judiciously and not embezzled? So how do you suggest accountability can be, upheld in all of this process? 30 seconds.
For me, I've lived in this country long enough to know that government can tell stories. And I've lived long in this country to know that 60 to 70% of the story that government tells are not true or half truth, as the case may be. They will tell us they want to divert the money made from this removal of subsidy to take care of other things. The money that they have saved from the removal of subsidy in petroleum sector, that they are now paying our state, for example, my state, Ogun State, that used to collect around 2-3 billion a month, that is now collecting almost 10 billion a month. Am I seeing it as a citizen in my state? You see, government have good intention on paper, but in reality, have we been seeing it? So if want us to...
Gbenga, I'm sorry, we are having difficulty actually connecting with you. We are losing you, your network. But thank you for joining in. Great to see you again.